Hey guys, and welcome to this edition of Project 2J. This week we're going to add some auxiliary lighting to the front of the 2J and try and cut through some of the marketing hype, what boom pattern I'm after, what light colour I'm after, and what size lamp I'm after. So let's get into it. Now, before you go out and buy those cheap Chinese made light bars, you probably need to have a bit of a look about light quality, light patterns, and the types of spread that they can give you and what would be suitable for your vehicle. So let's have a quick overview on that. Now, the first boom is a fog light boom, and they're very short, very wide. If you were to buy one expecting to light up the road, it's not going to do that. It's generally for fog, as the name implies, or inclement weather. The boom is generally 90 to 100 degrees wide. So very short, very wide, and lights up just in front of the vehicle. Now, the next type of light is a driving light boom. 40 to 50 degree spread, not as wide as the 90 to 100 of the fog light, but more depth up the road than the fog light. A good general purpose light where you're looking at to complement your existing lights in the vehicle. And the third type of light is a pencil light boom. So 15 to 30 degrees wide and throws a lot of light up the road. So out of all those light choices, what do I get? I mean, for the general run-of-the-mill guy that does a bit of everything, for me, I'd probably go with a set of driving lights and a set of pencil booms. That means you're getting your distance from your pencil booms, and the driving lights complement the high beam on your headlights, which are generally quite good now in today's LED world. The driving lights also fill in the mid-range gap of the pencil booms and give you spread. And for me, if I was in somewhere where you had a lot of inclement weather, a lot of snow, sleet, rain, fog, murky Scotland type of thing, I'd probably go for a set of fog lights and a set of driving lights over the pencil booms, because for me, when I've been driving in those conditions, I want to see everything that I'm coming up to, and that would give you a good mid-range light with a real lot of spread. There's a bit of a thing at the moment where people aren't relying so much on a forward-facing light with spread. They're putting a set of lights on the bottom of the windscreen frame and angling them out to the side a bit, so you're actually getting lights pointing out to the side. For me, I'd probably want a set of pencil lights up there rather than those, and my spreads up the front of the vehicle. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on the matter. So if we've now settled on boom pattern, where are we going to mount them? And there's a lot of guys that, I want lights above the windscreen. Excellent. I'm okay with that, but for me, if I'm getting, say, a set of driving lights and a set of pencil booms, I really want the driving lights on the front bumper or bull bar. Pencil booms, I'm more than happy to mount at the bottom of the windscreen on either side or above the windscreen. And the reasoning for that is that with pencil booms, the boom pattern is not wide and it's long, so it's not going to throw off a lot of light that way. And if you put driving lights or fog lights on your windscreen or above the windscreen, they're going to put a lot of light down onto the bonnet, down onto the windscreen, and produce glare, which is a really tiresome thing to have to look through. And you'll see a lot of guys paint their bonnet black or the like. That's to reduce that glare when they use these lights. So for me, driving lights or fog lights on the front bumper, pencil booms, I'm more than happy to mount on the windscreen frame or above the windscreen. But before you mount them anywhere, have a look at the local rules with regards to auxiliary lighting, because in my state, in Australia, there are some rules, and we'll run through those later. So the next question after deciding upon boom pattern and mounting, and for me, I'm getting a set of driving lights, mounting them on the front bumper. I'm also going to go with a yellow lens, and the reason I want the yellow lens is I'm generally travelling off-road when I want these lights, and that could be with a group of vehicles late at night on a dirt track or the like. And for that, because there's a lot of dust thrown up, the yellow is a more pleasing to the eye appearance than a harsh white light, and it doesn't make you so tired, and it just seems to cut through better. So that's the reason I'm going for yellow light. IP ratings. So what do we have to look at there, and what is an IP rating? An IP rating is the amount of dust or water that can come into the lamp in use. An IP, it'll generally be an IP67 or an IP68, and the first number, the 6, is the top number for dust ingress. So an IP6 something means that you won't get any dust within the lamp. So on a really dusty, dirty desert road, you shouldn't get any dust within that lamp. Most high-end lamps will be an IP67 or an IP68. The second number, the 7 or the 8, is water ingress. With regard to that, a 7 means that from all angles, the outside of the lamp has been sprayed under high pressure, and I think it's a 1.25mm nozzle for those beards amongst us. An IP68 means that the complete lamp's been submerged for 3 minutes over a metre of water or something and nothing's got in. In my mind, unless you're going to go and sink your car regularly, an IP67 is fine. Either one of those two though. So after all of that, what sort of lights have I ended up with? Well, I'm fairly cynical, and looking at a lot of these lights, they're all very much the same. They're a body full of as many LEDs as you can fit. Each LED has its own tiny little reflector, and basically they're just pushing out as much light as they can in all directions. And I hate to say it, but I think a lot of these lights are made under license to whatever company is selling them by probably the same factory in China, and they're just being rebranded and packaged up in nice packaging. I'm not saying they're terrible, I'm saying that it's not for me, and I question how good they are. So you then look at who is using high-end driving lights and the like, and you start to look at rally teams and the World Rally Championship, and there's a couple of brands that start to all of a sudden come out of that. One of those brands is PIAA. PIAA have been doing lights for 50 years or over, well respected in the World Rally community. They have been providing lights for the Works Toyota and Subaru teams, and you'd like to think that if they weren't any good, these guys wouldn't be using them. Drilling down through their catalogue, they had exactly what I was after. So I've reached out to PIAA Australia, and they've sent me out exactly what I was after, and that is a set of LED 3.5-inch driving light beam in the yellow output. And they look to be a really nice piece of kit. They're IP67, and they'll take 10 Gs of shock loading. And the difference of these over a lot of the competitors is that instead of filling the body with as many LEDs and little small reflectors as what they can, they're actually running 2 LEDs firing at the back of the lamp, and the reflector is as large as the lamp body. So it gives them far more control over light beams and everything like that. It'll be really interesting to see how these are like, but on the surface and on first look at them, they're a really nice piece of kit. So let's pull them out of their box. So these are the LP530 lamps, 3.5-inch LEDs, reflector facing technology, 9.4 watts, driving beam, ion yellow. Now the light specification is 2 LED chips, cast aluminium housing with a polycarbonate lens. And in the box there's 2 lights and a harness for them. So let's open these up. It's quite a nice package. Inside there's 3 separate boxes. I'm presuming in each of these large boxes there's a lamp. Now these lamps are a really nice piece of kit. The mounting bracket can be above or below, and the actual cover of the lamp does click off as such, and that's what we're left with. And you can see the size of the reflector in here, and you can see the upper and lower LED that fires back at that reflector. So I'd say there's a reasonable amount of design work that's gone into that. So we've got 2 of these. So we've got our two lights. Instructions and our wiring loom. Now the wiring loom's got a switch and everything on it, it's plug and play. However, because we've got the S-Pod unit, we'll be running this up to the S-Pod unit and we'll be using the switching inside the Jeep for that. So let's look at where we're going to fit these on the Jeep. And I'm going to mount these using one of the bolts here. You can see why I was after this size light. It fits really nicely and ties in well with the front of the vehicle. Now one thing I did want to go over is there's an orientation for these. The PIAA symbol goes at the base of the lamp. Now sometimes you have a win with where you mount these things, and I have today, although it's been pre-planned. I knew these lights would fit perfectly there. I knew I had a bolt I could just take out of the bumper and mount the bracket through that bolt, and I think they look superb there. All we need to do now is wire them up. I'll just run through the legalities though of where lights can be mounted and how they can be wired, because these have a yellow light output, they're going to class them as fog lights. As such, they have to be mounted behind the front edge of the bumper and no higher than the headlights. For wiring, they have to be wired so that they turn on independently to the headlights. So that makes wiring a breeze. So that's a really good thing. If I did have a clear version of these and I mounted them to the front bumper, if I mounted them to the base of the windscreen, or I mounted them above the windscreen, that's all okay. However, they have to be able to be turned off and on independently, but they need to be triggered by the high boom switch. So you can only have them on when you turn them on and when you trigger high boom. You can't have any white auxiliary light on low boom. They're the laws where I live. They may be different to where you are, but I know sometimes when I have to get a rego check every year, and sometimes they do go through this. But anyway, because these have a yellow light, I'm classing them as fog lights, and we'll just wire them up as such. Now again, with wiring, there's a loom that you get with this kit. We'll be using part of this loom because I've got the S-Pod unit, and for those that have watched previous things, the S-Pod unit allows me to wire directly to that, and I've already got a relay, a fuse and a switch inside the cabin, and I have a spare switch in the cabin for these, and I do have a rocker switch ready to go on that's engraved. So let's get in and wire these up. Shouldn't be much of a job. So I've come up to my local shopping centre car park because it's the perfect place to set up these driving lights. So we need to park the vehicle 25 feet away from the wall. That's 7.6 metres. And then measure to the centre of the spotlights, mark that on the wall, and then put a mark on the wall 1.5 inches, which is 38 mils or something, underneath that centre line, and centre the beam on that lower mark. And I think we've just about nailed it. But what is really interesting is that light beam. You can see how we've got 2 high points and then it's spread all the way along the bottom. And that's a really nice light beam for a driving light. And when we combine them with a low beam, we can still see the yellow halo, which means when it's dusty, they'll work quite well. So all in all, pretty happy with how that looks. So these are the PIAA driving lights just by themselves. And I'm not saying that you would use these in this type of situation just by themselves. However, it's a nice beam. And that's the inside view with the lights just by themselves. This is my low beam. If I turn the PIAA driving lights on, that's my low beam with the PIAA driving lights. And you can see how it lights up quite nicely, the bushes in the distance. And with my lights on high beam, you can see how the driving lights fill the inside of the high beam. And if we turn all the lights off and just have the PIAA lights on, so I must admit, for lights that are 3.5 inches in diameter, these things are a nice little beam. Gotta be happy with that. Well guys, that about wraps it up for today. These lights were easy to install, easy to wire. The beam pattern is absolutely gorgeous, and so far, nothing bad to say about them. As time goes on, I'll report back with how they go. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.